Sometimes the thing that hurts the most is the silence. You send a message, no reply. You lock eyes, but they look away. You share the same home, but silence echoes through every room. And slowly, you start to rot from the inside. This kind of silence isn't peaceful, it's strategic. Because this isn't ordinary silence, it's a punishment, a subtle form of rejection, a weapon. And this weapon has a name: stonewalling. The person in front of you doesn't talk, doesn't look, doesn't respond. But that passive behavior, it's a deeply active form of manipulation. What makes it dangerous is how subtle it is. It looks like nothing is being done to you, when in reality everything is. Over time, you start to ask yourself, did I do something wrong? You apologize more, give more, speak less, and shrink further, until one day, you lose your voice entirely. In this video, we're going to explore the silent form of emotional control. What is stonewalling? Why do people use it, and how does it work? How does silence become a weapon? And most importantly, how do you protect yourself from it? If you've ever been punished by the absence of words, if someone's silence has made you feel worthless, this video is for you. Because sometimes the loudest screams are hidden inside the quietest silence. Let's uncover the intention behind the silence together. 1. What is stonewalling? Stonewalling happens when someone shuts down all channels of emotional response during a moment of tension or vulnerability. No eye contact, no facial expression, no verbal feedback. Not just physical withdrawal, but emotional abandonment. And while it may appear passive, it's actually an active choice, a choice to control through disconnection. It's not a pause for reflection. It's a deliberate way to punish. Over time, the person on the receiving end begins to feel invisible. Their presence is met with coldness. Their words disappear into a void. Eventually, they stop sharing altogether, because every attempt is met with emotional rejection. And this is why stonewalling is not simply silence. It's a form of psychological erosion. 2. Why is it used? Stonewalling isn't always about escaping conflict. Often it's about creating emotional control. It sends a message louder than words. You're not worth engaging with. Within the power dynamics of a relationship, silence becomes a tool of dominance. The one who withdraws appears stronger. The one who seeks connection begins to feel desperate. This tactic shows up especially after disagreements. Instead of processing the conflict together, one person builds a wall and disappears behind it. Hours turn into days. The silence begins to feel like your fault. You think, maybe I pushed too hard. Maybe I shouldn't have said that. And that's exactly what the manipulator wants. You carrying guilt they planted. 3. The difference between silence and stonewalling. Not all silence is harmful. In healthy relationships, people may ask for space to think, to calm down, or to reset emotionally. That kind of silence includes care, intention, and communication. But stonewalling is fundamentally different. There's no explanation, no boundary, no reconnection. It's a wall built without warning and kept up without mercy. For example, when someone says, "I need some time to cool off, but I want to talk about this later," they are protecting the relationship. But when someone disappears emotionally and offers you nothing, no eye contact, no words, no closure, that's not emotional regulation. That's emotional manipulation. The line is subtle but critical. Healthy silence protects. Stonewalling punishes. 4. The psychological impact of stonewalling. Repeated stonewalling doesn't just hurt, it reshapes your internal world. You start to question your worth, your emotions, your memories. The person you care about seems to emotionally vanish whenever you express something real. Especially for people who've experienced emotional neglect in childhood, this tactic can reopen deep wounds. They may already carry the belief, if I want to be loved, I must stay small, quiet, and pleasing. And when silence becomes the response to their vulnerability, they shrink even further. It becomes a pattern. You speak up, they go silent, you feel guilty, you apologize, you stop speaking up, they remain in control, and in that pattern you slowly disconnect from your own needs. 5. Who uses this technique? Stonewalling can come from different types of people. Often, it's a hallmark of narcissistic personalities. These individuals don't see communication as connection. They see it as a power play. And nothing asserts more power than silence that wounds. However, not all stonewallers are narcissists. Some people shut down because they never learned how to regulate conflict. They grew up in environments where expressing emotion was unsafe. So silence became survival. But survival in one life chapter can become manipulation in another. For example, a father might refuse to speak to his child for days after a disagreement. No explanation, no warmth, just ice. And the child, not understanding what went wrong, starts to believe, if I'm silent, I'll be loved again. Stonewalling isn't just behavior, it can become belief. All of these explanations help us understand stonewalling. But to feel it, to truly recognize it, let me show you what it looks like through the eyes of someone living it. Because some forms of manipulation can't be explained. They have to be experienced. Let me tell you about Elise and John. It was 10:47 p.m. Elise sat in the kitchen, a half-empty cup of tea in front of her, untouched for hours. The house was quiet. Not the peaceful kind of quiet, but the kind that feels like a punishment. John was in the living room, phone in his hand, TV on low volume. But he wasn't watching. He wasn't even scrolling. Just avoiding. "John," Elise called gently, her voice soft but strained. "It's been 2 days. You haven't really said anything. I don't even know what's wrong. Can you please talk to me?" John didn't move, didn't look, didn't blink. Elise walked closer. "Please, if you're upset with me, I need to know. This silence, it's making me sick." Still nothing. He took a breath, turned his head slightly, but said not a word. Elise's eyes started to narrow, her voice cracked. She wasn't just sad anymore. She was angry, and it hit her. All she had done was be honest. 2 nights ago, she said, "Sometimes I feel alone when we talk. Like you're here, but not really with me." Since then, he had vanished behind his wall. No conversation, no closure, just cold silence. This wasn't the first time either. Every time Elise expressed a need, John disappeared emotionally. It was like a game, except only one of them knew the rules. "Won't you hear me?" she asked one final time. Still, no answer. Elise walked back to the kitchen, sat down, buried her face in her hands, and whispered to herself, "If he won't hear me, I might stop hearing myself, and I don't want to disappear." Stonewalling isn't communication. It's emotional exile. And being ignored, especially by someone you love, can leave wounds deeper than words ever could. If you found yourself in a relationship where silence feels like a form of punishment, if you're always the one reaching out, apologizing, trying to fix what you didn't break, then you're not weak. You're just waking up. Because the power of stonewalling lies in its invisibility. And once you name it, you begin to neutralize it. Remember, love grows where communication lives. If someone's silence keeps replacing dialogue, you're not alone because you're quiet. You're alone because they've chosen not to hear you. If this video resonated with you, please know, your story matters. Your experience is real. And your voice, it deserves to be heard. Drop a comment. Share your truth. Because sometimes the first word someone hears is the one you're brave enough to say.